So we've got a little bit of a populist revolution on our hands, and I love it. So there are three guys who are running for Senate that have a couple of things in common. First of all, they're all Democrats running for the Senate. Second of all, they've all been attacked by the establishment. And third of all, they're now ahead in all their races. And I'm going to argue and perhaps prove to you right now that it's because they were attacked by the establishment, and in some cases attacked because they wouldn't bow their heads to either corporate donors or foreign governments. One foreign government in particular, Ireland. Just kidding, obviously Israel. No one bows their heads in this country to any other government other than Israel. So, but these three didn't. Let's see how it turned out. Let's start with Abdul El-Sayed. He's running for Senate in Michigan. And recently he was in a lot of trouble and controversy because he campaigned with Hasan Piker, who's a very, very naughty boy. He's my nephew. He has said some outrageous things, there's no question about that. That's kind of a thing that he does. But mainly he's known for being opposed to Israel. And man, establishment media did not like that. And good news, since Abdul campaigned with him, now they're gonna get to smear Abdul, and that'll show him, will it? We're gonna find out in a minute, but first, let's show you Jake Tapper taking him on.
His rise as a prominent voice on the left is now driving a wedge between Democrats, and for good reason. Hasan Piker's past and present is checkered with controversial, if not outrageous, if not bigoted state comments like this one.
America deserved 9/11, dude. F it, I'm saying it. We totally brought it on ourselves, dude. Holy.
The ultra-Orthodox Jews leaving Israel, hilarious. Okay? If they serve in the military and then they get their untrained, inbred asses shipped into southern Lebanon, again, very funny.
You know, it's Hasan Piker calling Orthodox Jews inbred. Piker has also posted comments such as these, where he unequivocally sides with Hamas, calling them the lesser of two Israels compared to the lesser of two evils compared to the government of Israel. Piker has since apologized for his comments on 9/11, but he stood by the rest. He's accusing others of taking him out of context. In a Wall Street Journal op-ed, the leaders of the Democratic think tank Third Way write, quote, "Mr. Piker is anti-American, anti-women, anti-Western, and anti-Semitic. No Democrat should engage with him. All should seek to push him to the fringe where he belongs," unquote. Hasan Piker just recently become an issue in Michigan. It's home to a competitive three-way Democratic primary for governor. Dr. Abdul El-Sayed, one of the three candidates and a former CNN commentator, announced that Piker will join him for two rallies in April. His opponents quickly seized on that, slamming the decision as unacceptable.
Ooh, look at that. Hasan Piker saying that Israel might be worse than Hamas just because Israel has done 100 times the number of civilian deaths and at a worse civilian kill ratio than Hamas, hence they intended it. 83%, the worst of any terrorist group in the world. How dare you? Oh, we got Hasan, and now we got Abdul El-Sayed. We're gonna sink him, man. We just told everybody that Hasan and Abdul are not controlled by Israel, and they're bigots. And we'll throw in randomly against women from where? Doesn't matter. We're smearing. Third Way, very important group. Followed by three people, that's why it's called Third Way, literally has no grassroots support at all. No one in the world cares about Third Way other than Washington. They're a corporate-backed group. They're pro-establishment, pro-Israel, and they're like, we're gonna eliminate the progressive Abdul El-Sayed. He won't be able to, help people trying to defy corporate rule or Israeli rule. We got him, Jake, nice job. Way to smear Sayed. All right, we're gonna see if that worked. But what's funny is that that's CNN, but Fox News, which I hear is the opposite of CNN, had the same exact talking point when Abdul El-Sayed went on their show. Let's watch.
Why saddle up with that individual?
Bill, at the end of the day, I don't go on any show where I agree with everybody. You and I clearly disagree on a number of things, including the war in Iran. To me, it's about speaking to a broader audience. I'm on this show right now because I'm wanting to speak to the broader audience who are getting a bum deal because of this war. And I'm wanting to speak with Hasan's audience too. So just because you invite somebody to campaign with you or you're engaging with them does not mean that you agree with them. Famously, the president had dinner with a known neo-Nazi among many, many others. This is about being able to bring people back into our politics. Every day, 30,000 people and counting tune in to Hasan's stream. A lot of folks who don't watch Fox News, they don't watch CNN, they don't watch MSNBC. They feel locked out of our politics by a politics that is more focused on corporations and their well-being than theirs.
I
want to answer your question.
Let me just answer your question that you're making.
But the question, yes, it's an active decision to reach out to people who feel locked out of their politics to have a conversation, just like I'm making an active decision as somebody who's running in a Democratic primary to have a conversation on Fox News.
That's a brilliant answer by Abdul. So he's like, I'm talking to your hack ass, and you're way worse than Hasan. You're pro-war, you sell out this country for Israel, you're for every corporation that's robbing us blind, yet I'm still talking to you, and you're like one of the most corrupt people on earth. That's what I would have said, but Abdul was more polite, and that's wonderful, and he made a great point about, hey, Trump met with Nick Fuentes. Are you bothered by that, Bill Haber? No, it's Fox News, that's great. No, meeting with Fuentes, terrific. Meeting with Hasan Piker, he's against Israel. Hey, you know what? Fuentes is also against Israel. Wait till they find out. Then all of a sudden they might be upset at Trump. Okay, so beautifully done by Abdul, but overall, CNN, Fox News, just we always tell you, fake disagreements when it comes to supporting the establishment. Vote against the outsider populace, how dare he? Now, let's actually find out what Abdul El-Sayed thinks. Forget what Hasan Piker said 7 years ago and trying to smear by proxy, etc. How's Abdul running this race? Why is he doing well? You're about to see how well he's doing in a second, and it's beautiful. But first, let's see what Abdul has to say.
My quick question was, explain to me why progressive is not a dirty word.
So in my case, I'm not focused on left or right. I think there are people who've been locked out of our politics, and there are people who will be keys. And that is true whether you're talking about the ability to afford your groceries, or afford a home, or afford transit, or to be able to know that your kid goes to a dignified school, or to be able to see a doctor. We are locked out. We do not have the means of being able to change a system when there's so much money and so much effort that's being put to make sure that we don't actually have those opportunities. So progressive, not progressive, left, right, you notice I don't usually use those words. Because at the end of the day, I'm not interested in having a debate about the meanings of words. I'm interested in making sure that people have the basic needs of dignified.
So that's a message that I agree with completely, and why I call Abdul a populist, because in the old days, it was all left-right fights. Now, he's saying, look, the whole country's against the war. The country doesn't want to fund Israel anymore. But also on bread and butter issues, the ones he addressed in that video, the prices are way too high. Trump said he was going to handle it and he didn't, and prices are too high for the right wing as well as the left wing, as well as independents. So this is what it means to reach out to everyone and try to actually deliver for everyone. And that's what populists are about. Whereas the establishment is for delivering for only the donor class. We'll be back with the news. But first, I want to tell you about something that's made my day a lot easier, and that's Cook Unity. Cook Unity has helped me stay balanced and nourished with my everyday meals, especially when I run the company and I host a show. I have so little time to cook. They're the first meal delivery service bringing you high quality, locally sourced meals from award-winning chefs right to your door. Lately, I've been looking for something to eat between the tons of meetings I have throughout the day. So I recently tried their Mission-style carnitas burrito with salsa verde and Mexican crema. It's peanut-free, high in protein, and has just the right amount of spice. Every meal is handcrafted by chefs and made in local micro kitchens, not large production facilities. Your food arrives fresh, never frozen, in packaging that keeps meals fresh in the fridge for a whole week. There are hundreds of dishes to choose from, and the menu is updated constantly. You also get 7 different dietary preferences: vegan, paleo, pescatarian, gluten-free, dairy-free, and more. Experience chef quality meals every week delivered right to your door. Go to cookunity.com/TYT or enter code TYT before checkout for 50% off your first week. That's 50% off your first week by using code TYT or going to cookunity.com/TYT. And turns out people can tell, but the interesting part of this, guys, is that before he was attacked, Abdul El-Sayed, by the establishment and by Israel First Forces, he was actually in 3rd place. Let's look at the graph and see how he's doing since then. So this is all them going back and forth. McMorrow and Stevens are the other 2 people in the race. Abdul El-Sayed is the purple line, and you see before the attacks on him in establishment media right around the beginning of April, he's in 3rd place. After the attacks, he picks up massive momentum. In fact, before the attacks started, they actually started in March. Not only was he in 3rd place, he was down around 17 or so. He skyrockets in the 1st place. Thank you very much, CNN, Fox News, Third Way, the Israeli lobby, etc. Please keep telling Abdul is a naughty boy. He's trying to represent you Americans instead of Israel and healthcare companies. Please spread that message further. But now you can say, hey, maybe it's Michigan. They have a lot of Muslim voters. Maybe they noticed because of all the spotlight on him. Maybe it's working out differently in other races. Well, good news. We've got more facts for you guys, and we're gonna start talking about James Tallarico now. He's in Texas, right? So in Texas, he was running against Crockett. So Jasmine Crockett's another Democrat. Now, look, she's known a little bit more for the culture wars, and not to say that she hasn't done good work, but identity politics and the old school fights of the Democratic Party, and she leaned into, hey, let's go appeal to the base. Let's not try to win over too many people that voted for Trump, even if they're independents. And Democrats had a very healthy, strong primary, and they decided, no, let's go with the more populist direction of Tallarico, and as he's trying to appeal to everyone and bring them in on issues that we all care about, including anti-corruption. So how's he doing? How's that strategy doing? Well, first, he's attacked by, in this case, the right wing rather than the establishment. And they try to smear him with the old cultural war stuff. The libs of TikTok says, this is James Tallarico, who just won the Texas Democratic primary for US Senate. Quote, trans children are God's children made in God's own image. There's nothing wrong with them, nothing at all. And they're like, aha, we got him. He thinks we should treat every human being as if they're human. Did you get him? We're gonna see the numbers in a second. So he didn't say anything about transports or anything along those lines. He just said they're human beings, they're God's children, right? He often talks in biblical terms. He's a much more religious candidate. But because he's religious, he's also against war, he's also against corruption. And so did that line of attack work? You're gonna see in a second. But is that really what Tallarico is about? No. In the primary, he was actually considered to candidate against the culture wars. So what is he actually about? Let's get a quote from him so we can figure it out. Tallarico says, they call us a threat. The only truth is we are a threat. We're a threat to their corrupt system. Attaboy. Okay, so I love that kind of talk. Well, let's see how he's doing, because now there's 2 Republicans in the race. John Cornyn, the current incumbent Republican senator, and they're in a runoff. The Democratic primary is over, but they still are competing. Cornyn is going against Ken Paxton, one of the most corrupt guys in Texas and in the country. But he's a little bit more popular with what's left over of the MAGA base, the ditto heads of Donald Trump. So, but it's Texas, and we're not gonna get, I mean, the establishment tells me, and then the extreme right wing tells me, a populist Democrat can't possibly win. And in Texas, this isn't Michigan. There's no Muslim voters here. There's some, but not many, okay? Well, in Texas, there's no way. Well, you can see where this is going. Here we go. Tallarico holds a 44-41 lead over incumbent Senator John Cornyn, and a 46-41, even larger lead over Attorney General Ken Paxton. That's a real poll with over 1,800 people polled, and a margin of error only 2.5%. So it's a very reliable poll. We got another one. Independents, how did they go? Well, they broke heavily for the Democrat in both matchups. Tallarico leads 51-29 among the group against Cornyn, and 53-28 with independents against Paxton. So that is beautiful. And there you go. Now Tallarico has taken the lead in Texas. We'll see if he can hold it, but I believe he can. Okay. Now one last one, Graham Plattner in Maine. Now he was first attacked by establishment Democrats because he's going against the governor of Maine there, Janet Mills, who's reliably establishment, reliably pro-Israel, reliably pro-corporate. So Chuck Schumer loves her. This is the kind of corrupt candidate you have to pick. No, if you pick an outsider like Plattner, he can't win. Besides which, Mills is gonna crush him. You're all wasting your money. And he has no chance of beating Susan Collins. You see the pattern, right? So I'm gonna show you in a second. But first, now the Republicans have gotten into the race. They're still in the primary, but you'll see not much of a primary left. So the Republicans and the Israel First crowd have started attacking him now. They're taking the baton from the Democratic leadership to Republican leadership. Okay, now you guys spend money. So here they are with a gotcha ad against Plattner. Get him, guys, go ahead.
Graham Plattner blames Maine's women for getting raped because he says they get up drunk. And Plattner bragged about having a Nazi tattoo on his chest. That's the real Graham Plattner. Pine Tree Results PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Nazi tattoo. The Democrats already tried this nonsense. It's like a skull and bones. He didn't know, and they're like, and he's a communist. Well, you got to make up your mind. Is he a Nazi or a communist? Can't be both, right? So we've already gone through this many, many times. But who's so adamantly against Graham Plattner these days? Oh, let's find out. Let's go to Ryan Grimm, one of the best journalists in the country for Dropside News. The PAC funded by Blackstone CEO Steven Schwartzman and Palantir's Alex Karp, putting $2 million behind this ad. So that's Israel First, that's Palantir, the surveillance state. So both the tech bros and Israel First are like, you can't go populist. Maine, you better not go populist. You better pick a Democrat or a Republican who's our bitch, okay? Who we walk around on a leash. Don't you dare, Nazi. No, everybody who's opposed to corporate rule and Israeli rule is a Nazi. You hear us? Apparently they didn't hear you. Here's my great pleasure to present the polling. Well, how did the establishment Democrats do when they're trying to take out Plattner in the primary? Well, here's the latest polling. Plattner at 61%, Janet Mills at 28%, thinking of adding Felicia as her middle name because we're at a buy Felicia moment. Undecided's at 9. This race is over. That is why the Democrats have stopped wasting their money trying to bury him with propaganda and fake ads and horse crap. And the Republicans have taken over, and Israel First taken over. We got him from here. He's against Israel. He's a Nazi. So that'll work, right? I mean, all those ads, and Schumer was right. Like he can't possibly beat Susan Collins. I mean, they've tried 1,000 establishment candidates against Susan Collins, and they never ever win. So a Democrat can't win in Maine, right? A late March poll from Emerson College, though, showed Plattner, with 48% support among likely Maine voters to Collins' 41% with 12% undecided. I ran the math on that. It looks like he has a 7-point lead. What happened to he can't win a general election? What happened to he can't win a primary? Guys, you see what's happening here? Something that is beautiful and golden and really important. Now, the oldest problem we had as progressives and populists was that mainstream media would eviscerate us. They would lie and lie about us, and then the donors would come in and run tons of ads against us and propaganda, and then the mainstream media would come back in and high five and go, oh yeah, Hasan Piker, and both CNN and usually MSNBC back in the day for sure, they were actually the worst of the worst. Fox News, they all gang together. Now they all get together and they are counterproductive. Not only can they not do the propaganda effectively like they used to in the past, to make sure that we all live under donor rule and we don't find out. Now when they do the propaganda, it backfires. And you go from third to first. And you go from a tight race to now, after all the attention, when Plattner and Mills first engaged in the fight, and in the beginning, they were nearly tied. In fact, Mills was, I believe, leading at the very, very beginning. And people were like, oh no, Mills, that's she's gonna win. And look at all these Plattner smears, etc. But the smears actually helped them because why that's working so well, guys, is number one, no one trusts mainstream media. I mean, at this point, you'd have to be like 98 years old to believe that anything on television is true. They're not in the news business, they're in the business of covering up the news, and they're the biggest weapon that corporate rule has in this country. And they use it against all outsiders, right wing and left wing. They despise actual American people. They despise the average man. They despise outsiders and populists, and they would destroy all of our candidates. But now everybody's seeing it as, oh, establishment media is against this guy, then I love this guy. Oh, Israel's against this guy, then I love this guy. So keep going, Jake, keep going, Fox News. All you're doing is helping us. It's a beautiful day in America. We've broken through their wall of propaganda. What did I tell you right after the election? It sucks that Trump won. Trump's a disaster. I've been arguing against him for over a decade straight now. And I said he was incredibly low IQ. I told you. And he came, oh, I didn't know they were gonna close up the Strait of Hormuz. Everyone knew that. He's a buffoon. But after the election, I sensed that the establishment media was defeated and that would make all the difference when we're in the populist woods. And here we are, guys. We're in the populist woods, and this is our home field advantage. They have come to our turf, and now they're in a world of trouble. So keep going, keep supporting populists. And if those three win, whoo-wee, they're going to the Senate, and we're gonna have a very different Senate in the future. So good day in America. Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.